Hey folks, welcome to my very first vlog, and well, I hope you like it. This is also probably the very first times, amongst the very first times that I'm actually using the selfie camera, and I think you can tell that by the positions I'm holding the camera in, and that sounded wrong. So this is a very special vlog, as I said, because it's about a car that's 13 years old, and it's very special in my life, in my personal life, and it was a very special car back in its day as well. So it's standing right over there, so let's just get right into it, huh? Oh, and if you do like the view, yeah, that's my terrace. I know, the greenery is just, that's awesome. So anyway, let's get right into it. Yeah, so this is, ouch, it's hot. Hold on. Yeah, so this is the car we're talking about. But the background isn't really justifying this car, so let's just change that, right? Back in 2018, the Tata Indigo completed its 20 years in India. And well, it had the least sales of its entire life. And I think it's still a victory. Hear me out, because a car with essentially the same design, same shape, and the same features as 20 years old was still able to sell is a victory in itself, according to me. I mean, it was the taxi of the time. What adds more to the crown jewels of the Indica is that this was the very same car that Ford questioned Tata about why they even entered the automobile business. That infamous story about Tata's sweet revenge with Ford by buying Jaguar Land Rover. You all know that. But I didn't like the Indica though, to be honest. It was plain bad to look at. I kind of agree with Ford. And, well, its rear end was just very uncomfortable to see. I mean, it looked like it was in deep pain all the time from the rear end. This car was a different thing. This was the sedan version of the Indigo. This was a premium luxury sedan, especially for us when we bought it 13 years ago. This was a very well-proportioned car. Being a Tata, it was value for money, and it was sturdy build. So what was it? Premium taxi of the time? You got that right. This was the Tata Indigo. So as you're probably able to tell from those very amateur cinema shots of this car, I really like the design of it. It's very proportionate to me. It's a boring looking design, of course, but it was very safe back then. It was very proportionate as compared to, say, a Hyundai Verna. You know how that looked. What differentiated this car from a Tata Indigo was this double barrel headlamp design and this integrated turn indicator. This was really nice back then. I really liked it. I also really like this crease. Like, I hope you can see this one. Yeah, this part was just amazing. The panel gaps, of course, it's a Tata. Fit finish is not exactly Tata's forte, and we all know that. So anyway, there are in fact a lot of design cues that you would see similar to that of the Mercedes C-Class back then, and I don't think that's a bad thing for a car that costed that much. So anyway, the overall design was nice. It really was the car which started the trend of adding a boot to the back of your very successful hatchback. And it looked proportionate more than the sub 4 meter cars. Even the sub 4 meter version of this one, the Indigo CS, looked more proportionate than, say, a Swift Desire, but just looked like somebody rammed into the back of a longer Swift Desire. I don't know, just, yeah. So then, this was a very successful car, especially as a taxi. If you saw one, you thought it was a taxi or a luxury taxi at the time. If you saw a white Indigo, you probably knew that it was a taxi or a government vehicle, because it's sold like that, even in the government departments. The VIP departments, this was overbooked all the time, almost always. So it was really going well for Tata, because the Indigo had 3 new variants. Not exactly new. The Indigo SX used to come with this one. It had rear seat entertainment, like legitimate TV screens in the back of the headrest. It was small, but it was really big back then. There was then the Indigo XL, which was 9 inches longer than this car, and it had an aircon vent over here, so it gave even more leg space than this one, which already had pretty good leg space. The boot capacity was 450 liters. At this price point, where the Ford Fiesta and the Hyundai Verna, which were the exact rivals of this one, sold for at least 1.5 to 2 lakhs more than this one on the road. And the Verna looked like this, so it looked bad. So everyone wanted to have this one, even us. We had this one for 13 years, as I've told you multiple times in the video. Anyway, things were going really well. But things changed with Tata when they launched the Indica Vista and the subsequent Indigo Manza, which of course didn't sell as much. The already degraded interior quality and the fit and finish of Tata degraded even more, I think, with the Indigo Manza. And this interior was okay to look at. It looked luxurious, it looked heavy. That one didn't. And the car also didn't look that great. Let me just be honest with you, it looked bad. I didn't like the new Indigo Manza, especially after I saw the concept. And that started the declining sales for Tata. Nevertheless, Tata has come a really long way. The dwindling sales is now a thing of the past, and you'd know that especially well if you're a shareholder of Tata right now. Things changed for Tata when they launched the Zika, or as we know it, the Tiago. Tata being Tata, socially aware company, changed the name from Zika because of the Zika virus outbreak, and named it after Lionel Messi's son when they roped him for the adverts. You remember the orange car, right? Well, Tata was clearly betting big on it, and it paid off. Thanks. The old one, it sold like hotcakes, and it still does. And why not? It's got great features. I really love the shape. It's a smart looking car. It's got a 4-star global NCAP safety rating, so obviously it sells a lot. In fact, the Tiago is what gave us the hot selling fleet of Nexon, Altros, the Nexon EV, or even the Harrier from Tata Motors. The Tiago is what allowed Tata to show us the impact design philosophy. I mean, it's the reason why we are able to see at the Harrier, for example, and can't even tell if it's an Indian manufacturer's car. I mean, take a look at this one, for example. Come with me. And this is what I was talking about. You see, this is the reincarnation by Tata of the Tata Aria. This is the Tata Hexa, and nobody wants to believe it because the Aria was ugly as... This is what one of my friends calls the big daddy of Tata Motors, and I mean, he's not wrong about that. Look at this thing, it's huge. It's got a Varico 400, 156 horsepower, 400 Newton meters of torque. That kind of an engine. So yeah, it's brilliant. The off-road capabilities in the 4x4 variant are just amazing. And even this non-4x4 variant is rear-wheel drive. A body-on-frame chassis. So it was built rugged. It looks rugged. It was great. The interiors, on the other hand, are a completely different story altogether because the interiors are so well thought out, so well laid out. The fit, finish, and the features and the luxurious feel that you get on the inside was from a class apart, class above, to be honest. I mean, did you hear the sound system in this one? The 10-speaker JBL audio? Fantastic. But hold on. We've been sitting, standing, and talking for so long. I've reached home. Let me just change and let's go for a drive. Yeah. Yeah, which is why we have... a car is much more than the features and the exterior looks and the interiors and the fit and finish. Of course, these matter a lot in everyday daily driver cars, but to me, the drive matters too, and to a lot of you as well. A 13-year-old car, so you know, I'm gonna have to drive down memory lane with this one. So let's give this one a good old car thrust. Shameless plug. Do check out our website, carthrust.com. The ride is obviously not going to be as smooth, but wow, the clutch is light. And to think of it, the clutch has only been changed once in its lifespan of 13 years. It's done almost 100,000 kilometers, so that's a big advantage in this one, because this one feels as light as a petrol car. I recently drove one of the recent Werner's 1.6 VT, and the clutch feels almost just like that. The gear shifts are a bit jerky. I mean, the momentum that you have to form between the accelerator and the clutch, that's a bit jerky, and the ride, as you can probably tell because of the shaky camera, it's not great. The suspension is obviously not that great because it's so old now. It used to be better, but yeah, definitely not great right now. You'll feel even smaller bumps on the road. The performance is going to be a bit different from current gen Tata cars or even other cars, especially diesel ones, because this is a DICOR, the direct injection common rail engine from Tata that used to come back then. So emission norms were much more lenient back then because, well, pollution wasn't as bad as it is today. So the turbochargers in this car would kick up right from the get-go, like right from somewhere around 1100, 1200 RPM. Unlike the recent Tata cars where, well, the turbochargers don't kick off until you've reached 2,500 RPM, and then you get that burst of thrust. So I'm expecting better acceleration as compared to the Tiago or even the Hexa, because all of them, you know, the Hexa has 400 Newton meters of torque, but it still would have all that torque after 2,500 RPM, somewhere around 2,200 to 2,500, in that kind of range. I'm expecting better in this one. Apart from that, the ride is smooth once you get adjusted to it. It's a little higher to sit, which some people might not like because it's a sedan. The rest, I'm pretty comfortable. The aircon is working perfectly fine, and I'm just sitting in comfort. So yeah, the interiors I'm not going to talk about right now, and there's not much to talk about. It's pretty bland, and it's got a single DIN music system that we got from Sony. We didn't have the factory one, it was Kenwood. We didn't like it. The sound system is better with Sony. That's what we felt back then. I still do. Yeah, apart from that, nothing else. This used to be the interior of almost every other car back then, because we were considering a Ford Fiesta that used to come, which changed its name to Ford Classic. I don't know if it even sells right now. Maybe some of you can't even tell if that's that. Then there was the Werner, which was hideous to look at. A hideous car, hideous car. I'll just have a picture of it and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because even the facelifted Werner that came out, it was called the Werner Transform, and it was not a Transform. The lights were changed, there was a bit of a change in the grille, and yeah, that was it. So we didn't like it, and it just didn't justify its price as well, that car. This one was pretty cheap back then. You'd consider this one at throwaway pricing as compared to other cars, because well, Tata has always been value for money. It's only recent times that they have increased their pricing, because well, they now have a reputation to match, their fit and finish has increased, their qualities, their global NCAP rating, everything counts. But yeah, this used to be a really value for money car back then. Enough talk, let's talk about that. Let's get on with that acceleration. So I've reached that part of the road. So this is nearby my place. It's a highway kind of road, so we're not going to be speeding much, and I would recommend you to check on your surroundings and go within your speed limits, as I am. Let's go with that acceleration. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Maybe I'm expecting it not to be that great. Whoa! It has a lot of grunt, that's for sure. That's 60 kph. And that's 100 kph. What? Just, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, how? Okay, so of course it's not as exciting for you all to watch it. This way you must be feeling, why am I overreacting to this? But I was not expecting this car to reach 100 kph this fast. I have driven the Hexa and I've driven it hard on an empty highway. It does not give this kind of a thrust. First of all, there's lots of road noise, so I'm feeling what kind of speeds I'm going in. Secondly, the engine sound, the engine note. I mean, obviously I'm not going to compare it with something like a Ferrari or a Mustang. Look, we are in India and we all know the custom culture here. I hope you got the pun. So we don't have many supercars, or we don't have I've never seen a hypercar here in India. Some muscle cars, that too, just the Mustang. So I'm not going to compare the sound with that one. Obviously you can go onto YouTube and listen to it. Okay, so I'm obviously a bit more excited, elated, maybe. This was pretty good. The engine note reminded me of an incident way back when. I used to take this car sometimes to the coaching center, and me and two of my friends, we used to go out. So what we used to accelerate it hard. It was that age. I was 19 or 20, I think, and so, you know, the engine note that used to come out, we used to feel like we are in a Ford Mustang. That's exactly what we used to feel. And they even used to ask me, they legitimately asked me if I had an exhaust thing done to it. Like, you know, did I have an additional exhaust? Something like that, maybe modification or something. I told them, nope, none whatsoever. Just the turbocharger in this one kicks really, really early, so you feel that. And yeah. This was very exhilarating. This was a very precious drive for me. I'm definitely also going to talk about the safety of this car, because that mattered a lot. And it matters a lot more, especially in our case, because of what happened. Let's first do a brake test though, shall we? Because that exactly tests what kind of safety we're talking about. I'm not going to be as impressed with the brake test. This is what I feel, because I've been using the brakes and I didn't get that confident appeal. So we're going to do it from 50 kph, and it's going to be an average kind of speed for the city, and we're going to see. You know the traffic in India, right? If you're watching from Delhi, you know especially what I'm talking about, and if you're watching from Jaipur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's do this. Yeah, as I said, not exactly great, but not bad either. Let's scrap that and let's just talk about the theme. So why so much talk about the Tata Motors and safety? Why are they synonyms? Why? Well, you know why. Tiago, Tigor, the new ones, 4-star rated, Nexon Altros, you know, 5-star global NCAP rating. But before all of this, before the safety airbags were standard, like this one doesn't have them, why was Tata still considered a safe car? I'll give you an example from my personal stories. My mom and dad were involved in an accident. They walked out scratch-free from that one. But what had happened was they were standing at a toll plaza. It was way before the fast tags were mandatory. So they were standing at a toll plaza. They were returning back from a city called Ajmer. It's 150 kilometers from here. And a truck with a drunk driver, a large commercial truck, I think an 18-wheeler, which was full with marble slabs, rammed into the rear of the car. Every civilian that walked to the rescue asked just one question: who walked out alive? That was a pretty personal story I just shared. And my dad, a week later of the accident, decided that whatever car he's going to have for a long term, for his daily use, for highways, it's going to be a Tata car. Obviously. We've heard stories of some 150-year-old trees, heavy trees, falling onto the roofs of Tata Hexa, and the roof did not collapse. So even though everyone complains about the broad A-pillars that Tata cars have, I don't. I can adjust to the view, I can drive a little bit slower and more carefully, but I cannot compromise on this, on the security, on the safety that the car provides, and the structure that the car provides. So I don't question the design, even though certain reviewers might. That was a very intense accident. But the best part that explains the security, the safety of the car, the build of the car, why everyone says that you shut the door of a Tata car and the thud makes you feel you're sealed in the package. That was pretty special. Not the accident, but the outcome changed things. The outcome changed perspective for us, all of us, of how we viewed cars. Because we had decided that we will not be buying certain brands unless and until we are assured of their safety, of how well the car is built. So even though everyone complains about the fit and finish of Tata cars, nobody talks about how good the exterior fit and finish is. And this is the interior of the car. So as I said, not exactly great to look at. It's very boring. It's very basic, singleton music system. We've got really good speakers, although from Sony. As I told you before, this is the steering wheel. I really liked the steering wheel design back then because, it was a different shape, but then I realized it was just Tata's logo and I didn't like it anymore. I really like this gauge cluster here. It lights up in white at night and it was fine. We had aftermarket power windows installed, and there was power steering and power brakes already. And it was basic, but it was really, really nice. And that was a sunrise to sunset vlog and drive. It was good, but exhausting. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I'm not sleepy because I've watched my video too many times. Anyway, you all will let me know in the comments below if that's the case, won't you? Yeah, I know. Well, I hope it's not the case. And thank you for watching. Have a good night. Bye-bye.